Welcome on the show, Charlie Reid, a 16-year-old actor who starred alongside Olivia Colman in the 2022 film Joyride.
Money. You need to come back now. I need that money.
Money! What the? Who are you? Olivia Colman.
But she is the most down-to-earth person that she just made me feel so comfortable. You know, she gave me so much help throughout the series. I mean, we were inseparable for a bit. So
so how did you get that audition for that big film?
Right, so my dad actually saw a casting call on Twitter. I'd say the most challenging moment would be when we were in the sea. That was really tough to crack down. You know, my temperature went down and, you know, people started panicking.
Welcome on the show, Charlie Reid. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So if people don't know who you are, explain to them what you do.
So I'm Charlie Reid, I'm 16 years old, and I was in the movie Joyride starring Olivia Colman, directed by Emma Reynolds, and I've been acting since the age of 6.
Oh wow, so you've been doing it in quite a while.
Yeah.
So what were you like as a young child?
My parents always thought that I was very enthusiastic and a very upbeat child, so they always thought I'd be really good for theatre. So, you know, when I was younger, I did a bit of theatre, I did a bit of stage, and then, you know, it was more in the recent few years when sort of lockdown hit, I started to become, you know, what I started to become more closer to movies and stuff, and that's how I really got into the business.
So have you always like dreamed of becoming an actor?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be an actor ever since I was young, but in the recent few years, you know, it started to dream. It started to really like kick off. Do you know what I mean? Ever since, because
Yeah.
it's been what I wanted from when I was a really young age, from as long as I can remember, to be an actor, to be out there for people to know my name, and now hopefully this is the beginning of it.
Yeah. So you mentioned about that theatre from doing at a young age. So like what performing things did you do leading up to getting the role on the film?
So I've been on stage a lot of times when I was younger. I've played, you know, characters like Oliver Twist on stage before, and so it was more so whenever COVID hit, I stopped going on stage because, you know, everywhere was closed down, and then, you know, we saw all these self tapes were going up, and especially the one for Joyride. So it was more sort of recent that I've been getting into the movie business because I was always a theatre head. You know, Oliver Twist was my first role, my first lead role that I played when I was younger. I've played Shawneen um, in an original play called Parcels from America. That was in Smock Alley Theatre. So, you know, I still loved an Elvia theatre, but I like to mix it up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So like were them theatre roles professional or were they just in like amateur productions?
Some of them would be amateur productions, you know, for my local societies and stuff, places like Kilcock Musical Society, Nice Musical Society, Kill Musical Society. But now, uh, Shawneen for Parts from America was a professional show, and I really enjoyed that. That was because that was the first time I'd been on stage in 3 4 years, and so I hadn't been on stage in a long time. And I was actually really nervous before I did it. I was very nervous because, you know, it's the first time in a long time, but no, I really enjoyed it. I made a lot of good memories there.
Oh, so was that your first thing you did like post-COVID?
No, a Joyride would have been the first thing I did post COVID. Parts of America was last April, and it would have been the first theatre piece I've done since post COVID, and yeah, I was really nervous because it had been because last time I was on stage, I actually shared stage with my dad, so it was a bit without him after a few years, it was a bit weird, you know, but it was great crack. I mean, we still are popping off in the group chat a year later, and it was just it was great crack.
Yeah, so what was that play about?
So the play is about Ireland, back many years ago, whenever they used to receive these parcels and letters from people that have emigrated to America, their sons or whatever. And there was a there was a woman in the show called Bridget, and a young lad who lives across the road from her. His name is Shawneen. He goes over to take care of her because her son emigrated to America without telling her anything. He just got up and left.
Oh
So
wow.
he takes care of her, and it's a really nice, heartwarming story because on Christmas they all go over to Bridge, and they all give her presents and everything for Christmas because she's all on her own. So it's actually a really nice story.
Yeah. So obviously you were a big theatre actor. So had you before Joyride, had you done anything in TV or film?
Yes, I actually done a TV show called Nova Jones. That's on CBBC. So I did that, and I really enjoyed Nova Jones. It was such good crack. And then I think Nova Jones was the only TV experience I had, or any movie experience before Joyride. But Joyride, I mean, was such a good experience. I mean, it set me up now. It set me up to be ready for any other film if I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what was your role on Nova Jones? Was it just like a one-off, one episode one or?
I did. I was in two episodes, and I played Nova's arch nemesis, his manager. His name was Malcolm, and yeah, I was John Ricky, who was Nova's arch nemesis at the time. I played his manager in it, and we were in two episodes, and we're back in season two. We're back for
Oh.
another two. Yeah, we're back for another two episodes. We make another appearance, so it was great crack going back there to film season two.
Yeah. So when you walked on to the Nova Jones set for the first time, your first experience on a set, like how was that?
Well, the Nova Jones set is very colorful and big as it is because it's set in space, and so it was really weird at first. I'm walking on there, all the cameras everywhere, and then all the mics, and it's a really weird feeling. You're looking around, I had no idea what was going on, and then there's so many nice people there though that get you to settle down, to calm down, get you in the zone, have you ready for what you're about to film. I mean, the people on Nova Jones were really helpful because I wouldn't have had a clue what I was doing if it wasn't for them.
Yeah. So how do you get that role on Nova Jones originally?
So thank you to so at the time I was with the Gaiety School, and this role had come through them, and they said, look, we think we have a role that we think would suit you. Does it show your interest? And I was like, yeah, no, that's something I would really like to do because it was the first time someone had really mentioned TV or film to me. So, it
Yeah.
caught my eye, and I said, you know what, we'll go for it. And then we got in contact with them, and I got the role, and I thank God, because I'm really grateful that I got the opportunity.
So how young when you did that?
I think I was 13 when
Oh,
I
wow.
could have just turned 13 when I did Nova Jones. And then I was 15 when we went back for season two.
Oh, okay. So like how long was that film experience for Nova Jones?
Nova Jones would have been about a week and a half there, and then the second season was only 2 days. We were done and dusted after the 2 days.
Oh, wow,
But
that was
it
quick.
was, yeah, it was a really quick turnaround actually because it was the day after I had finished Parcel from America, so we had to get all the way up
Oh,
within
wow.
the day. Yeah, it was a really quick turnaround, but yeah, no. So it was about a week and a half, and it was of it. I think it was the perfect time for my first thing because it's not too long, it's not too short either. It had the perfect time for me to, get settled in and, get to know everybody as well. So I think that was a really good bonus.
Yeah. So then obviously you got a part, you starred in Joyride with Olivia Colman. So how did you get that audition for that big film?
Right. So my dad actually saw a casting call on Twitter. And, so he asked me, is it something you'd be interested in doing? And I said, yeah, I'd love to get into that. So we sent in the video, he contacted them, and they came back to us, and it was about 5 weeks on and off. We were going back and forth with new videos, meetings, meeting up in person, and then eventually they told us I got the role, and it was there was a few celebrations in the house that night.
Yes. So was that audition process quite a long one?
Yeah, it would have been. It felt quite long, to be honest, because when you're not being told, you just have to sit and wait, and it's frustrating. It really is. But I mean, if you work hard enough and you get the part, it's the most. Like it gives so much back to you. It's worth all them weeks. As I worked all them work, I spent for those 5 weeks. I kind of had to. I didn't really go out much because I was head with my mates. I was head down. I was working hard to try and pin it down to exactly what they wanted, and it
Yeah.
was tough. It was tough work, but I mean, I think it really paid off.
Yeah, obviously, because you
Yeah.
you landed the role. So you say about them celebrations in your house when you got that role. So what was your reaction when you found out you got that part, and where were you?
So I had just came back from a football match with my team. It was my first time back because I got injured back a while ago. I broke one of my fingers, so I was in the big cast. And I was finally out of the cast. I finally got back, and it was a draw. We drew 5-5. It was a great game,
Oh
and
wow.
we got back. I came upstairs, and my dad was on the phone. So he just gave like the push like move out for a minute. So I was in my room. I was a bit annoyed we didn't win. I was sitting on the bed, and then my dad comes in and he goes, uh, "So, Mully, what you think?" I looked at him and I was like, "What?" I didn't really clock what he was trying to say. And then he goes, "You got the part if you didn't get it." And I didn't even know what to say. I was just sat there and I was like, "What?" I actually couldn't comprehend. The first thing I thought to do was ring my mom because my mom actually wasn't in the house at the time. I rang my mom, right? And my mom's in the middle of Tesco. And she answers the phone. I go, "Mom, I got the part." And she's here screaming in the middle of Tesco. I'm like, Mom, please stop shouting, get home and we can celebrate this. So everyone came back. It was a nice night we had with the family. I think people were still a bit like, what is happening? Because we didn't really have a clue. We didn't know what we were getting into. But I mean, at that night, looking back on that night, it would have been about 2 years ago now. A bit over 2 years ago now. It's just looking back, it's just like I'm a bit shocked. Like it's weird to think to look back on it because we were all so like shocked. I mean, we were all speechless. We couldn't speak. Like we barely. But it was no. It really was a great night.
Yeah, I can imagine the best pickup from having a draw in football.
Yeah.
So what was your first day on set like?
So we had arrived a week before we started filming, so we could get to know everybody, get to know the babies, get to know Olivia, all that crack. And then the first day on set, to be honest, I was at the beginning I was nervous because I didn't know what we were going to do. But so I have a little story for you now. The assistant director, Jonathan Quinlan. So we got there for the first take, and in the take, I'm eating wedges, right? And what he did was he took 14 takes of me eating more wedges and more wedges and more wedges because it got to the point where I was almost getting sick from the amount of wedges I was eating. And
Oh no.
he did it on purpose. He did. So I keep eating more wedges. And now, ever since then, Jonathan was always there to, help me get me settled in. We have the crack, but I'm halfway through filming and I was looking at the Kildare game, and he goes, What would you be watching the Kildare game for?" I was like, "I'm from Kildare." He goes, "You're not." I was like, "I am." He goes, "I'm from Kildare." I go, "Really?" Turns out we live in the exact same town. We've been living in the exact same town for ages. So yeah, I see him around every now and then. So it's really nice. But thank you to Jonathan Quinlan. I got settled in very, very quickly because he made sure that if I ever needed anything, if I didn't know about something, he was always there to, help me get settled in. And it's the same with all the ADs, Michelle, Carol King, who was the locations manager, Emer especially, who was the director. She's like a mentor, that she really helps you get
Yeah.
settled in really easily. And it was great.
So because of them people, did you ever feel that like age difference between you and everyone else on set, or did you feel like that you were all there to make this amazing film?
So it was from when I was younger. I used to do the theater with a lot of older people. I always used to feel like the child there. But the fact that I was included with everyone, it made me not feel like I was. It didn't make me feel like I was 14. It made me feel like I was one of them. Because we were all in it together. Do you know what I mean? Like from the beginning to the end. I mean, it was such a good buzz on set. Every single person did their job, but they did it while being happy as well. So it made the whole
Yeah.
thing so much better to do. It gave such a better vibe on set, and that's why I still talk to them today. We have a group chat with all of us together, and we still talk to this day, and I'm really happy now, and it's because they helped me get settled in. Is now that it made it so much better for everybody.
Yeah. So that period of filming while you were filming Joyride, how long was that?
That was 6 weeks. So it took 6 weeks to film up in all around Kerry. I mean, Kerry, the fourth star of the film, most what a beautiful county. I mean, I'd never been to Kerry before, and now Kerry really has a special place in my heart because well, let's hope they beat Derry on Saturday now, All Ireland semi-finals. But yeah, no, they Kerry now holds a really special place in my heart because of all the different places we went, and I made so many friends down there. It's just it's really created this thing for me where it feels like another home. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you have to miss school for that period then?
Well, this was actually filmed during the summer, but Nova Jones, I would have had to miss a bit of school, so I would have had my tutor on set. But no, Joyride, thankfully, was filmed in the summer, so I didn't have any tutor. I didn't have to miss any school. It was perfect timing. So it was.
Oh, that's good then. So you could just fully focus on
Yeah,
filming
I
the
could
film.
relax. Like, yeah.
If you're enjoying the interview so far, please do subscribe because we've got some more great interviews with interesting people coming your way every 2 weeks on Sunday at 1 o'clock. It's time to get back to the interview. So obviously you are starring alongside Olivia Colman, who's a massive actor. She's very established and has played so many different roles. So what was it like working with her?
Well, I mean, at first when I at first spoke to her, I didn't know what to say because it was a bit, I had I've seen this woman on my TV so many times,
Yeah.
because we all like Hot Fuzz in the house. We all love Hot Fuzz, so we've watched that film so many times, and yet you're seeing her, and you're like, what do I say? Do I shake her hand
Bit
or do I give her?
starstruck.
Yeah, exactly. It was a weird feeling, but she is the most down to earth person that she just made me feel so comfortable. She gave me so much help throughout the 6 weeks. I mean, you know, we were inseparable for a bit, so we were. But like, she's a really nice person. She helps you get settled in. She's real down to earth, and it was really good. The first time I met her, it was she was so easy to talk to, and throughout the whole filming process, any questions I had, I could go to her, and she'd always be there to give me a bit of advice.
Yeah. So obviously, along with the assistant director who made you at ease on set, did Olivia make you at ease on set as well?
Yeah, I mean, she really put me at ease. So she did, like, because when there'd be scenes where it's just me and her, and I'd be a bit confused. I'm not sure what to do. She'd talk me through it. She'd help me. She'd give me advice. She was always there if I needed to talk to her, or if I needed help with something, or my lines or something. I mean, I helped her as well crack down the accent perfectly now. So that was my returning favor to her for being there. But no, she really put me at ease. She did. So,
Yeah. So what was the best piece of advice that she gave to you?
probably the best piece of advice she gave me is that it's all in your eyes while you're acting. It's all in your eyes. You have to really get your facial expressions across. And she was really, really sure on that, and she was making sure to get it across to me. And hopefully it came across. My mom says it does, so hopefully it does. But yeah, no, but like she gave me so much advice throughout the whole thing. she helped me so much. I mean, any questions I had, she was straight there, you know. So it's really like I know a lot of people say, "Oh my God, you're working against the on an Oscar winning actress. How does that feel? You know, does it feel undermining?" It really doesn't, you know, because it she's like I know it, she is a normal person, and you know she acts like it as well. So she's really good at putting it at ease.
Yeah. So what did you learn while filming Joyride?
Well, I mean, I learned everyone has taught me so much throughout that, but it's also the one thing I learned the most is to always, you know, stay happy while you're on set because, you know, if people start getting angry on set, the whole thing falls apart. You know, it's going to be a really bad vibe on the set, but you just have to stay happy, stay motivated, stay ready. And I think if we all weren't so motivated and so excited to get this started, I don't think it would have been as good as it was.
Yeah. So obviously in the film you meet Olivia Colman's character when you steal a taxi, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Taxi? Yep. That she's in. So did you actually drive?
Well, there was one scene where I actually did have to drive. It was in the car park. I had to
Oh
reverse
wow.
out, and that was the first time I had ever driven. But for most of it, no, it was actually a German car where the wheel was on the other side, and then
Oh.
we'd have a stunt driver. We'd be crouched down, and he'd be driving. And then there was one time where we were pulling up to the house because we had a fake wheel on the left side, and I was there. So I rolled the window down, looked like I was driving past everyone, and but you know that's yeah. His name was Terry. He was my stunt double, and he was great crack because he actually yeah everyone said he actually quite looked like me in the face as well. So my dad said it was really weird how we used to stand beside each other. He used to look exactly like.
Wow. Was there any other stunts that he had to do as well?
There was a few. It was a lot of the driving, and there was one where he had to jump out of the car for me. But I did a lot of the stunts by myself. But you know, Terry was always there. He did a bit. He did a bit of the water as well. He was in the water with me for those scenes. They were really tough to film, so you know he gave me a lot of support. But he was always there, you know, to give me a hand if I needed it. If I needed a rest, he'd jump in for me. Do you know what I mean? I mean, they were all
Yeah.
really, really good to me.
So how was it doing them stunts?
When they asked me at first, would I be okay with doing my own stunts, I was a bit like, I'm not sure. But when you get into them, you know, it's a lot less complicated than you think it is. You know, that everything is set
Yeah.
up there for you. Every safety precaution in the world is made. So like you're gonna be okay either way. And you know, it was a great experience now because I'd love after that, you know, I was saying how I'd like to do my own stunts for every time I film something now because I mean it's like you see people like Tom Holland does his own stunts and all that. I'd love to, you know, do my own stunts in the future because it looks like because it's all you then. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's such a unique experience of your first time driving being in a film. I don't think like a lot of people never have that. You've got a very unique first driving experience there.
Yeah, I mean, it was like because I only learned to drive this summer. You know, my mate Morgan, he took me down. He owns a farm. He took me down. He taught me how to drive. But you know, the very first time I drove, it was really weird because you have people telling you what to do, and you're like, no clue. You're thrown into the deep end, and it just came naturally. I mean, I just had to reverse. So surely it couldn't have been that hard.
Yeah. So obviously the center of the story is Olivia's character is trying to give up her baby. So did you have any prior experience with like acting with babies?
No, actually, I'd never because I don't have any. You know, I don't have any younger people in my family. So I had never had any experience with the babies. But I went in the first day we got down to Kerry, you know, and I met Shalom, who was the mother of the two babies. And I mean, she's just what a woman she is. I mean, she's real down to earth. She's so sound, like she's dead on. And then the two babies, you know, I started holding them, and then throughout the rest of the 6 weeks, I'd always jump into the trailer after I'm done filming there. Wouldn't even go to my own trailer. I'd jump in with them, and you know, she'd hand me one of them while she's feeding them. You know, I got really comfortable with them really quickly because she allowed me to. She was always there if, I was struggling with them or something, but it was really great that I got really comfortable with them so quickly because of her.
Yeah. So was the babies a good scene partner?
Oh yeah, I mean they never had any struggles with the two babies. I mean they were perfect. They were perfectly behaved. They were so good. And I mean I think Shalom had a big part to play in that now. But I mean they were really good. They were good crack to have around set as well.
Yeah. So what was your favorite part? What was your favorite moments of filming?
One of my favorite moments was the day we were in the B&B, and I we were filming a scene where I was in the bed, and I kept getting out of bed and having to get back in, and Jonathan goes to me, he goes, you can just stay in bed. I was like, all right, and I closed my eyes for the scene, and we're filming it, and then they cut, and then they filmed another one, so I just didn't bother open my eyes, and I fell asleep in the bed
Oh no.
for 15 minutes, and then they had cut the scene. They started wrapping up, picking everything up, and I'm just there asleep in the bed. And of course, Jonathan had to take a few pictures of me asleep in the bed, and then woke me up right before the other scene was about to happen. So I mean, that was one of my favorite days on set, definitely.
It must have been funny for all the crew.
Oh, I'd say it was, picking up stuff around me while I'm here fast asleep in the bed, having my beauty sleep. Like.
Yeah. So what was your most challenging moment from set?
I'd say the most challenging moment would be when we were in the sea. That was really tough to crack down because, my temperature went down and, people started panicking a bit. But, you know, I was out there. It was really tough, but we had all the precautions out there. Everyone was there if I needed something. Everyone was ready for if anything went wrong. It was really, really well set up so that it was challenging, but it wasn't real tough. Do you know what I mean? Because I had the support there that I needed. But yeah, no, it was quite challenging from a perspective where you're in your clothes, you have to stand in the sea, you have to go underwater. Like I was on my knees as well. It was tough. But when I say that, they made it. It could have been a lot worse if they weren't there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They really helped me, settle into the scene properly. And thanks to Nula as well. Nula was a lifesaver who she was actually the swimming instructor. She taught me, how to be able to be in the water with my clothes and everything. And I had a wetsuit she provided. So, I mean, she was fantastic for that.
Yeah, and it came out as a great scene on screen. Really like emotional one and really like the climax of the film.
Yeah.
So what was the experience like when the film got released, doing a lot of interviews with media and then also going to a premiere?
So when I went to the first premiere, I brought my friend Morgan with me, and I remember we were given a little room we could get changed in before. I remember standing there, I remember looking at Morgan, and I'm like, what is actually going on? Why is my face out there on the red carpet? Like, and we went out and we had one of the greatest nights ever. It was so much fun. But when the film actually came out in the cinema, my local cinema, so all of my mates had set up, that we'd all go to watch it together. But I said because I was running, I had training that night, so I was running a bit late. And I was about 10 minutes late into the film. And I bought my ticket, I walked in, I look up, and I see my whole school year is there in the cinema, all there. And I walked in, and they let out a big cheer when I walked in, and I was like, oh, God. I walked up to the top. I sat with my mates, and then once the film, I felt bad for the people that were actually trying to watch the film. Because you have a whole bunch of teenagers here up in the road just chatting
Yeah.
midway through the film. But no, everyone enjoyed it. They gave me a round of applause when I walked out. They all waited for me, so it was a really nice moment.
Yeah, I can imagine. So outside of doing that with your friends and going to the premiere, did you see it more times in the cinema?
I saw it once. I saw it twice in the cinema. One with my family and one with all my friends. I had seen it once at home before it came out, and then I saw it three times in the premieres.
Yeah. So like how do you find watching yourself on a big screen, just watching yourself act? Because some obviously actors don't ever watch their stuff apart from the
Mm,
premieres because they find it like uncomfortable.
yeah. Well, I mean, at first I'm not the biggest fan of watching myself on screen because there's small things that I'll notice that no one else will, and it'll annoy me. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I wouldn't do it by choice now. But but for the premieres, it was weird seeing just my head on a massive screen for the very first
Yeah,
time alongside Olivia Colman. It's
must be very weird.
a bit like what's going on, like, do you
Surreal.
know what I mean? Yeah, it's very surreal. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, have you ever got recognized on the street?
When we were in Kerry, we went back down for the premiere in Kerry a year later, and I was walking down the road with my dad, and then someone had walked out of the radio station, and she goes to me, "You're the young fella from the film, aren't you? Film down here." I was like, "I was," and she went, "Oh my God, it's so good to meet you," and all. And then she said she had seen one of the scenes we were filming from up above at the very top of the beach. So that was a nice little thing to do.
Yeah. So do you want to continue acting through into your adulthood years?
That's what I'd love to do. Like, that's what I really hope to do in the future. I see so many of my role models like Barry Keoghan, and Paul Mescal. I'd love to get into it full time. I'd love that to be my thing for the future. It's a tough process, but I mean, if you stick with it, put the hard work in, hopefully it goes my way because I'd love for that to be my future job.
Yeah, so like from now to like when you finish education, like what is your plan?
Well, my plan for now is there's a few things that are happening in the background right now that I shouldn't really be talking about, but there's a few things that are going on behind the scenes. But look, I mean, from now until I finish education, I'm just going to keep going, keep trying to tackle them both. I had my state exams last year. I think you called them the GCSEs. I had
Yeah.
that last year, so that was a tough year, really tough year to get the hang of because you're really busy at one point, but then you have them to look for to be focusing on as well. So it was a tough year, but I mean, we got through it. And if we can get through that, I mean, hopefully now I can keep pushing for the next 4 year, next 2 year, 3 years of my education. Just push for the next few years. I'll see if something comes through. We'll talk it out with my school, see if we can come to an arrangement. And because my school are very good, very flexible with me for allowing me to do things like this. So hopefully, that's what I get for the next few years. And until I'm out of school, then it's all go, go, go.
So, if you could do like any role on TV or film that's already been played or in the future, what would it be?
There would be two. There would be Will from His Dark Materials. I'd love that role so much. I love those books. I love that show. I mean that it's an incredible show. And then I probably Spider-Man. I mean, after seeing the three Spider-Man come together last December, I
Oh,
mean
it's
that's all that,
incredible.
yeah, incredible film. But I'd also, yeah, it'd probably be Spider-Man. I've always loved the role since I was younger, but my brother, won't stop saying to me, I won't allow you be Spider-Man in the future because you will ruin Spider-Man for me completely. So, but yeah, no, it'd probably be either Will from His Dark Materials or Spider-Man.
Yeah, there are some great roles there. So, one last question. What advice would you give to someone who wants to become an actor?
The advice I would give was put the work in, but don't forget about the people that are trying to help you as well. Because, while you're putting the work in, you can get really caught up and you can lose track of, people that are trying to help you around you, um, from past experiences. But if you put the work in and you have balanced out with your friends and with your family, I mean, if you put the work in, but also balance it out, you can really go far. So I definitely think that you should, if anyone out there wants to become an actor, wants to have what I have had in the last few years, I mean, you just have to put the work in, but balance it out. Allow yourself to have your days off and your time with the people who love you and care about you, but also by putting the work in and making sure that you want it.
Yeah, that's some great advice there. So thank you, Charlie, for
Thank you
coming
very
on the
much.
show today. Okay, thank you. Bye.
See you later. Bye.
So hopefully you enjoyed my interview with Charlie Reid. I do want to say a big thank you to Charlie for letting me interview him. If you want to check out more from him, the link to watch Joyride is in the description below. And if you've not watched it, if you've not seen it yet, I do recommend it. It's a great film. So now it's the summer holidays for me, so I've got a lot more time to work on the show, and I've got a lot of plans, including a full rebrand of the show coming in a few weeks' time. Maybe even for the next episode. Lots more behind the scenes content and short form content as well, and some very exciting interviews. Also, a big thanks to all the support on the last episode with Adam Chase, and if you're new here and have stuck around from that interview, welcome, and I'm glad you're here. That's all we've got time for in this episode. We will be back on the 6th of August with another great interview, and maybe even the podcast under a new name. Please share this video with your friends and family, comment, like, check out some other of the interviews from the show. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads and TikTok, and subscribe. In the meantime, if you have any suggestions to make the show better, or if you want the chance to come on the show, comment below, message me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or email me at thebrickistshow@gmail.com. So that is all we have time for this week. We will be back on the 6th of August at the same time, but for now, goodbye.
Bringing you a kid-friendly radio show. Every Saturday afternoon on YouTube. Broadcasting live at 1 o'clock. Broadcasting